And of course, that brings us to the whole business of the 2017 general election campaign in southwest Surrey. And it was a delight earlier on to see that those video images of that evening when Louise, having prepared to give a magnanimous speech as a good Democrat, then found that the winner was hardly magnanimous in victory, but actually went on the attack from the start of his speech and started attacking Louise and talking about the untruths that she allegedly had been spreading. But of course, I thought he would have learned by that point that actually Louise does actually tell the truth, and actually she exposes his falsehoods, and that's what she did very effectively. And that, I think, for me, vindicated everything that I did and other colleagues in South West Surrey did to support Louise as the best possible alternative to Jeremy Hunt in that 2017 general election. It's great to be at the National Health Action Party conference, because I've been to many party conferences before, but they've been Labour Party conferences, which are a little bit bigger, and they've sort of felt a bit different to this. Slightly bigger structure, very different sort of scale and organisation, but in many areas of policy, actually, for most of the delegates, they're not a million miles away. And if anybody of us could have been transported to, and one of us certainly was probably present at the Green Party conference in Harrogate early this year, or the Liberal Democrat conference in Eastbourne, or the Women's Equality Party conference in Manchester, I'm sure we would have found many common areas of policy and meet people with whom we have a lot of common cause. And yet, in this crazy world of first-past-the-post politics, the winner-takes-all electoral system, we've all got to be bitter enemies. And that's what is so bizarre. And of course, we know where that ends up. It ends up with the political right forming a government in election after election after election. And whilst we've had, in terms of the popular vote, if we look at the elections since 1970, we've had, in terms of the popular vote, a progressive majority in 12 out of the last 30 general elections since 1970. But we've had a Tory government for 2/3 of the time, between 1970 and the present day. And that doesn't seem to me to be democratic. So we've got a broken electoral system and a system of party politics that accentuates difference. It crowds out common cause on the left, and it leaves us with almost the constant spectre of a Tory government after Tory government when the country doesn't want it. And so in healthy, rich democracies, smaller parties like the National Health Action Party have an important role to play. And we've heard today a lot about how important that role of the National Health Action Party is in this country. And without being entirely at odds with all the other parties, they can provide an appropriate level of challenge to some of the bigger parties. And as I say, the NHAP is a particular case in point, isn't it? I mean, it was founded out of, I think it's, am I right in saying, it was founded out of this rightful opposition to the Health and Social Care Bill, which became the Health and Social Care Act, which both the Tories and the Liberal Democrats signed their names to, and at a time when Labour's position was equivocal, shall we say, on the privatisation of the NHS. as we heard earlier, laying many of the foundation stones for what the Tories then went on to do. And I love those T-shirts earlier on that said, "We are Bevan's folk." And actually, it was that kind of sentiment that brought me into the Labour Party about 46 years ago. But interestingly enough, for me, it was that same sentiment that actually got me kicked out of the Labour Party on May the 10th of this year. And so Labour at the time, I think, would have been done well during that Blair period, when those foundation stones for privatisation were being laid, to have sort of heeded the words and heeded the philosophy of Nye Bevan. And I could not stand here on this platform without a quote from Nye Bevan from In Place of Fear that he wrote in 1952. He said, "The field in which the claims of individual commercialism come into most immediate conflict with reputable notions of social values is that of health. And that is true both for curative and preventative medicine." And that's true, isn't it? So, in other words, it's central to the National Health Service, it's central to the system of the National Health Service to have something that is free to the user at the point of use and publicly provided and publicly accountable. And that is something, a principle which I will never turn my back on. And I didn't turn my back on the Labour Party either, incidentally. It was them that turned their back on me, which is sad, and which actually makes for difficulties in forging the kind of progressive alliance which we do need. What happened in South West Surrey really kind of dates back to 2015, because in 2015, everybody on the progressive left, including the other candidates of the left, who were fighting that election alongside Louise, as a candidate who, without a lot of organisation, as I think she will probably say herself, actually she did pretty well in the election, but also she earned a huge, huge amount of respect, because she was challenging Jeremy Hunt on his own turf. And that's why South West Surrey was, in my view, a very well-chosen constituency in terms of that kind of progressive alliance. But what we did as a compass group, where we've been bringing people from the Green Party, Labour Party, Liberal Democrats, people who are on the left but not politically aligned, together to debate issues and to find that there were differences, but there was a lot of commonality. We've been having those discussions for a couple of years, and then, what happened in 2017, when we happened to hold a public meeting on the day that the election was declared, and there was this huge groundswell of public opinion for a single progressive candidate, we thought, well, we'll go for it, we'll hold a progressive primary, which we did. We held a progressive primary, we invited the Labour Party candidate who'd been imposed on the local constituency Labour Party, that had previously voted in favour of not standing a candidate, precisely because we did then believe in a progressive alliance. So it wasn't just, it wasn't just the three of us that got expelled from the party. It was the party as a whole supported this. So we had this, we had a Labour candidate imposed upon us, who we invited along to the progressive primary. He did not appear. He refused to attend, and would have nothing to do with it. We had a Liberal Democrat candidate who came along, we had the Green Party candidate who came along, and we had Louise. And there was a debate, there was a discussion, and Louise was endorsed by 9-1. So, it was actually a progressive alliance of the people. and the people were ahead of the politicians. And that's the way I think we need to approach this whole question of the Progressive Alliance. Because if you talk to people on the doorstep, they don't have any of these hang-ups that people who've been steeped in the political parties for yonks actually have. And so, you know, as I say, we need to have progressive alliances. We will have another Tory government after the next election, and the election after that, and the election after that, unless we actually get our act together. And actually, as I said when they challenged me that on the Daily Politics show, that I, you know, had turned my back on the Labour Party, I said, no, the Labour Party turned its back on me. I was thrown out of the Labour Party for trying to get Jeremy Corbyn into number 10 Downing Street. And actually, I was also thrown out of the Labour Party for trying to unseat Jeremy Hunt, the most